Hi, I'm Paco, and you're watching Bad Witch Books. Today is July 4th, so you will be hearing fireworks throughout the video in the back because people don't know how not to have fireworks going. And because of the heat, this is the only time I've been able to film. And so if I don't film right now, we are not getting this video out. I am in the middle of a California heat wave. It has been in the highest on the highs 100 all week and all next week. So life is suffering. So this is the only time I'm able to film. Just unfortunately happens to also be 4th of July, and people are crazy with fireworks. So you're going to be hearing them in the background. Sorry. We're going to cut to Stats Paco real quick, so he can tell you what we read. Paco coming at you back with the slow verse. So for June, we read a total of 11 books, 1,602 pages, 64 hours and 36 minutes listened. Average rating of 4 stars. Books acquired 10 books. Series started 2. 9 of those were diverse reads. 5 of them were audiobooks, 4 ebooks, and 2 physicals. I read 7 adult novels, 4 young adult. And yeah, so that's Stats Paco. Back to regular Paco. Stats Paco, appreciate the work. I have 4 books that I read this month that I do not have physical copies of. And then I have 6 books that I have physical copies. So of course we're going to do the ebooks and audiobooks that I do not own first. So the first book on this list that I want to talk about is Romance Language. I believe it's by A.J. Turman. I could be wrong. They will be here to prove me wrong or correct. And this book is a part of a teacher's romance series. I think this is book 3, but the first one I read, this follows 2 teachers. One is the French high school teacher, and the other is the Spanish teacher. And they are best friends. Not best friends, they're just really good friends, but the French teacher, I forget his name because it's been a minute since I read it, is plus-sized queer man who has never had a relationship and never even really done anything because of his insecurities, and also trying to just power his way through college. He didn't focus on anything else. And our other guy is a bi-curious friend of his who is in a lot of debt because of a gambling addiction, and they end up the French teacher ends up not confronting but confiding in the other teacher about it's almost his 31st birthday and he has not been with anybody. And so his teacher's like, hey, well, I am bi-curious and I want to get this itch out. How about I help you go through these so you're not 35 and a virgin, and we'll do it as friends, and shit happens from there. And it's a cute romance. The smexy scenes are fun. I enjoyed it. I have read another book by this author in a different series, and I'm intrigued in continuing more of his books. Fireworks are loud. Take a shot for every time you hear a firework. So the next book I read was Kill Her Twice by Stacey Lee. This is a audiobook. It's a historical fiction about 3 sisters in Chinatown in the 19-somethings, early 1900s, who are trying to solve the murder of a famous actress, the only Chinese actress, and their former friend, because they know that the police don't care because she was Chinese, and they are trying to also stop their community from being destroyed for further advancements in the area. So I really enjoyed this mystery. I read it for my book club, and I gave it about 3 stars. I do think the other Stacey Lee book, The Luck of the Titanic, I read a little bit more. I enjoyed that more. So this was fun. The mystery was intriguing, and I really did like the old Hollywood vibe. I wish we got more of the old Hollywood vibe though, because that didn't really come into play until halfway through, because one of the sisters wants to be an actress. And that was fun. So the next book I have to talk about is Monster High Pride Anthology, which is only 2 stories really, but the first book follows Toralei and Claudine as they go on an adventure to create their own space. And then the reason I read it is for the second story, which has Valentine and introduces Sheldon Spellington, the son of Cersei, who, if you are a Monster High deep lore fan, you knew that they wanted to make this couple canon in the series, but Mattel didn't let them. So now that they're able to do it in this comic is awesome, and the comic was really cute, and I really enjoyed it. So I really don't rate anthologies, especially comic anthologies. I just don't like rating multiple stories from authors. If I like one story better, but it's a really cute Pride comic that I enjoyed. So the last one, that was 3. The last one I read was a arc I read was A Cruel Thirst. This was a e-arc by Angela Montoya. This is the same author of Sinner's Isle, one of my favorite books of last year, and this book was so good. It follows Carolina, who is a vampire huntress, and her family is a bunch of vampire hunters, and she wants to prove herself right. It also follows Laszlo, who is a freshly turned vampire who hates everything about being a vampire, and they have to work together to kind of end vampirism, and it is so good. This is so Mexican of a book. I love the way that Angela Montoya did the lore of the vampires. It was really cool and interesting, and then also our 2 main characters were perfect. I really related to Carolina in a lot of the ways about her family, and Laszlo was a cinnamon bun that I loved. So I highly recommend this book. The book is out December 17th. You should go check it out. I mean, I've already been talking about this book nonstop, but now that I've finally fully read it and can give it a 5 stars, I highly recommend. So the next books are the ones that I own, and those are, we'll go to, when a surprise hit. I wasn't even planning on reading this month, but it just kept calling my name and I said fuck it, and that was Evocation by S.T. Gibson. This was another 4.5 5-star read. So this book follows, what is Daniel, I believe his name is? No, David. David is a prodigy psychic. He has been a master of his psychic powers since he was a young teen at his father's behest. And he accidentally is, a demon is hey, your family owes me some shit. And is taking him over, affecting him, fucking him up really bad. And so he goes to the only person he can think to, another magician in his secret society, who just also happens to be his ex-boyfriend. And he also goes to his ex-boyfriend's wife, who is a powerful witch. And they have to work together to try to get David out of this situation. And this book is really good. I really enjoyed it. I will say, if you are a plot and not character and vibes, I would maybe not recommend it as much, because this book is characters, vibes first, and then plot, and I enjoyed that. I love the character dynamics between David, Reese, and Moira. I loved Moira, I loved Reese, and I love David. I'm very excited to get to more of this. S.T. Gibson is becoming one of my favorite authors of the year. I loved Education of Malice, and I love this so much, so I'm very excited to get into this. The next book I have is The Jasad Heir by Sarah Hashmim. I believe I am pronouncing this right. This book follows Sylvie, who is the secret lost heir of the Jasad Empire after it was overthrown by the Nazihim Empire because of their magic, and Sylvie's been in hiding for 10 years. Until one day she is accidentally found out by the prince of the other kingdom, found out for using magic, not for being the lost heir. And he's like, hey, there's a contest that we choose a champion for. If you work for me and help me get a bunch of rebels, I'll let you free, and just keep your magic hidden. And she's like, okay, it's either this or death. So she agrees to help them, and tension flies. I really enjoyed this. I love Sophie as a character. She's deeply flawed, and it was just overall a great time. The audiobook I really enjoyed. I am very excited to continue on with this series when the second book is announced, which I swore the second book had gotten announced, but I guess I'm crazy, so you can't find it anywhere. I don't know what I was thinking about, but I deeply enjoyed this. This is a 4-star read. So the next book I have was The Cursed Rose. This is the final book in the Bone Spindle trilogy. This is a Sleeping Beauty Indiana Jones retelling. And I gave this a 3.5. I wanted to like this more, but there were some major flaws that I had in this book involving POV. I felt like one of the major characters of the book was completely absent throughout this book, where it's important shit that he's an important character for the first 2 books, but he's out of commission in this one, and that really hindered the book for me. And then there was some other stuff where I felt like important stuff happened kind of off page that really sucked for me. So I'm giving this a 3.5. Whether I enjoyed the book as I read it, I did, but I didn't love it, and it just wasn't the best series wrapper for me, unfortunately. Next book I have on here is Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar. I read this because of a book club, another book club I joined, an IRL book club, and this is about Lucia, who can perform little magics, and one day she is found out by her mistress, the lady she works for, because it takes place in Spain, in the Golden Age of Spain. It's like the 1600s, I believe. But Luisa is a scullery maid, and she found out by her mistress that she could perform little magics, and so her mistress uses her to kind of raise her station for, like, putting on shows until they are found out by higher powers who are like, actually, we're going to use Luisa to kind of, in this competition, and she's going to be trained by the Scorpion. And shit happens from there. This book was hard for me to get into. I had to switch to the audiobook. And the first half, I could kind of care less. It was until, like, the second half of the book, even though, like, the last third of the book is when I really started to care, where I really liked Luisa and Valentina as characters. Wasn't until the second half, so I am giving this book a 3.5. I think, or it's like it's almost a 4, but it just was missing some specialness that I really missed from Leigh Bardugo in this book. I just couldn't put my finger on what I wasn't vibing with. But the second half, to me, was much more enjoyable than the first half. So, it is a standalone. Speaking of standalones, the next books we have is The Honey Witch, debut novel by Sidney J. Shields. This is a book about Marigold, who is living in this very Regency era romance, like, kingdom, very Bridgerton vibes, and she just doesn't feel like she fits in. She's like, I'd rather be out in the woods dancing in the wild than going to balls. I don't care about love. And one day Marigold's grandmother comes from her and is like, hey, we're witches. I am dying, and I need your help to protect the Isle from evil witches. And Marigold decides to go, but Grandma's like, one more thing, if you do decide to become an all-powerful badass witch, you can't have love. You were cursed, so there's that. So Marigold at the time is like, yeah, I don't care about, nobody here's making me feel anything. And so she joins her grandmother, and then later, after some time, a nosy redhead who is a skeptic comes and knocks on her door, and it makes Marigold regret everything. But I really enjoyed this read. Someone said, the author, I think, compared it to Bridgerton meets Halloween Town, and I very much got Halloween Town vibes in this. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the magic system. This is just a cottagecore, cozy fantasy vibes, and it was really fun. I loved Marigold as a character, and I just liked the magic system. This was really fun. I Betty read this with Helen, and we both loved it. She gave it 5 stars. I gave it 4. But high-key recommend if you love a cottagecore, like, cozy fantasy romp in the flowers. Perfect for a spring read, I would say. And the last book I have is The Sun in the Void by Gabriela Romero Lacruz. So this book follows Reina, who is, I forget what she's called, but she's not human, and her people are weak, like, treated like shit. She has a tail. Her grandmother at the time, and she goes to her, but is attacked by a monster, and it takes out her heart, and so her grandmother does dark magic to save her. And then it also follows Ava, who is another magical creature, or, like, non-human thing in this kingdom, but are treated better than Reina's, but not so much better. And Ava lives with her family, who hate her because she's not human, and they, like, talk shit about her, and then shit happens. I really enjoyed this fantasy. It's really hard to explain what happens, but this is based in a Latin American world. Forces collide. We got fighters. We got magic wielders. I highly recommend this book without really going too much into it. I really enjoyed it. The 4 stars. The action was fun. The magic was fun. I really liked Reina and Ava as characters. Maybe Ava was more my favorite out of the 2, but I really enjoyed it and would love to see where the series goes. It has, like, political intrigue. Not as much in this, but it's got, like, family shit. It's got magic. It's got fights. It's got gods. So I highly suggest checking this out. So those are the books I read this month. Comment down below what was your favorite reads. I mean, Cruel Thirst and Evocation were my top reads. What were yours? And I will see you guys next time. Sorry again for all the fireworks. Pew!